I've been reminiscing, I can't stop thinking back to another brother's heartache, this young kid called Jack. Me and him grew up together on the same road. We didn't struggle, we know both our parents' income was a load. And we was never on our own, cause we knew if we were down we had loved ones there to hold. His mother loved him, Jack was her only son. And through his early years, no matter the weather, Jack was a shining sun. And they would rarely ever leave each other's side, except for when they kissed each other goodnight. And what I'm trying is to say, they were never apart. Jack was inside her ever-loving heart. But this is where me and Jack's path depart. See, when I hit teens, I was still close with my family. Jack's faded away and I still sit here today wondering how this can be. Cause ever since secondary school, Jack's mum watched the son she built up to be turn into a boy she saw only about 5 times a week. She would sit there and ask Jack, do you want to sit down and chat about what you've been up to and what you've got to brag about? He just said, sorry mum, I've got to get out and about. Jack just turned into a resident in the home, evicted from his love. It's like he never heard her pain or moan. Jack would rather be out rapping spliffs to sell to these other pricks, and it makes me feel fucking sick to know the outcome of his actions. Cause he just picked up the wife to something most important and just snapped him. Until one day Jack's dad switched and said, there's no way you're going out tonight. Being stuck in the home made Jack proceed to grab his things and walk out into the night. As he left, his mum just prayed that one day things could go back to the same. Jack just sat down by the side of the road, telling himself being in that house is something he couldn't bear. He got up and carried on walking, accidentally leaving his phone there. 3 months later, Jack's so-called hustle got him caught up in a tussle. In that afternoon he was sitting up in the station. His dad had to come and pick him up and barely wanted to face him. Jack tried to wait for a response until he ran out of patience. He asked Dad what was wrong. He said, your mother's been diagnosed as a cancer patient, and you haven't been around for her to let you know. Your mum's scared and she hasn't got many days left to go. She's terminally ill and all she wanted was her son's love to hopefully fill that struggling climb up the patient's hill. And Jack ran to that hospital without stopping. Adrenaline got the better of him and his lungs seemed like they weren't dropping. He ran into that ward, he came to the room his mum was being kept in and opened the door. There was nothing there apart from an empty bed. The doctor told Jack that his mum refused to stay as she continuously wept, so he let her go and live her remaining days in her own bed. Once Jack got home, he greeted her mum with the most loving force a son could ever give. He apologised for all that he had sinned and told her he weren't leaving her. They stayed up all night talking, no matter how much of breathing her. They sat there and talked about the past, talked about the laughs, glazing out the window to the shining stars, hoping that this moment would always last. The next morning Jack woke up laying next to his mother. She was laying still under the bed cover and he knew that her time had come. He stepped out into the garden under the morning sun. There wasn't a tear, word or frown. He just looked up to the sky and smiled, knowing his mum was in heaven looking down to a son whose love will always go beyond the boundaries of this earth. And not once did Jack ever curse, cause he was happy he'd spent the last remaining hours with the woman who once given birth. And I guess every story has a moral, and this would be no matter the argument, try not to quarrel with the ones you love because they won't be here at all times. But at the funeral you want to be able to read those last lines, knowing that you spent every day with them to the full, knowing that they were there to catch you when you fall. And I mean it, make sure you love them all, cause love overcomes hatred, and love is what ensures your life is as special as you make it. So whether it be your girlfriend, boyfriend, mum, dad or siblings, look into the eyes and just listen, cause they will never forever ever be in your arms, but they will always forever be in your heart. Cause they will never forever be in your arms, but they will always forever be in your heart. Prospect.